because he always used to attack it when defending.
I think it's like
Are we live? I'm live. People, Deluded, I'm back again. I hope everyone's doing well and safe. Season's greetings. By now, you should already know where it is. I'm here with my good mate Mo to talk Arsenal. What are you saying, man? Seasonal greetings, happy belated Christmas, and all of those things to you, bro.
Yeah, same to you, man. It's a good time to be an Arsenal fan. I'm enjoying myself. And I've just realised I forgot to plug in my microphone. I'm off the ball.
Do you think we can still hear you, man? Talk about adaptation skills, man, and able to play different formations. I'll let you plug that in, man. But yeah, greetings to everyone that's tuned in. Everything is working fine at Arsenal. You know, we have a lot of very low lows and a lot of very high highs. So I want to jump straight back into it. Assuming your mic's plugged in, I'm just going to ask you this every time I get a chance. What's your feelings on Arteta now? Can you see what's building? Can you see what Arsenal are creating and what this process allegedly is?
Every time I look at the fixture list, DG, I look like a few games ahead, and Arsenal perform exactly how I expect them to perform, in all honesty. So, or, you know, there or thereabouts. I looked at the fixture list. I talk about this so much. From Leicester away, running up to Everton away, there were 6 games. 4 difficult away games: Leicester, Liverpool, United, Everton. 2 easy home games: Watford, Newcastle. We did slightly worse than I expected. Then I looked at the December fixture list after the Everton game, and you know, I would have expected to have beaten Wolves, and we've done slightly better than I expected. I expected all wins, maybe a draw in the West Ham game. So for me, my opinion on Arteta doesn't change that drastically, because I feel like sometimes fans, maybe they don't pay attention to what their expectation was and how what actually happens on the pitch deviates from that expectation.
Yeah,
they get caught up in the emotion of good results and bad results. Whilst for me, again, now when I'm really trying to fine tune my opinion on Arteta and say, does it change my opinion on what from what I've seen of him so far? I'm looking at January as a very big month for him, where Carabao Cup games against Liverpool, Tottenham away, and Man City at home. Yeah, and there's some other games in there, but they're the key ones, again, where I'm like, this fixture list will help you earn your spots. It's not sort of against teams we should beat and against teams we should lose against. So let's see what he does. And then maybe I'll deviate from what I think. And what I think is he's a good manager. He's definitely got kind of talent, but I don't think he'll get us to where we need to get to, and that is top of the tree.
And I mean, you said it there, whether he can get us to the top of the tree or become a consistent top 4 team, because we haven't done it yet, remains to be seen. Just like when we was doing extremely bad, you know, you could see it looks bad. We're doing extremely well by our state, by that current logic. As you said, I think fans too often than not, they're riding high in April, shot down in May. They're just not keeping a critical head. I wouldn't say my opinions change too much of Arteta, because I think he's doing what I know he can do. I know you can get tactics right. I know you can make a way of playing. I just wanted to see you unloosen the hamstring, the purse string, a bit on the pitch, and we're seeing us create a bit more. We're looking a bit stable. One thing I like is the confidence. I think confidence in football, like in life, comes from doing things like repetition. Now, I'm not naive. Clearly, they were working on stuff in training, but it looks like evidently we're working on something. And as you know, when you're consistent, you're confident, and then you start to enjoy what you're doing. And I think the Norwich game was the first time we really looked like we enjoyed ourselves, probably too much. Like I'm seeing Saka trying bicycle kicks and everyone's trying to score weldy. So I would say I feel Arteta at this moment in time is the right man, but to know if he's the guy is in May, because we've had some bad periods. We've had a good May. I don't want to look back in, we've had some bad periods and good ones. I don't want to look back in May is what I meant to say and say, okay, we had a great December though. That doesn't do anything for me. You know, you need to prove you can get into Europe. I say Europe subjectively. I want Champions League. Europa's the minimum, and then you need to prove you're doing it again. But you know, it's all attributed to winning, because I look back a few months ago, we've spoken about Aubameyang. If he made that Aubameyang thing where not necessarily if Aubameyang was in good form, but if we were looking shaky, that would have been another stick to beat Arteta with. You know, when things are working, you can do things like we could talk about why isn't Pepe playing more and things like that. We're getting results, and I like that. I see a bit more urgency from him. Last season, it felt like you was playing Willian to try and get him in form, but that's not going to help you get 3 points. So I'm seeing a lot of urgency. Credit where due. December was good. You know, what would you say would be the best game for you in the December period? I'd go with West Ham, and I think
I'd go with West Ham as well, because every other game I expected to win. That one, you know, and the thing is, people can rewrite history a little bit. People can say that, oh, well, look at West Ham, they're not playing well. But they were when we got to them.
They were the best team in the world when we were going into that game. If I'm honest, it was a big test, as we said.
So the fact of the matter is, when West Ham look back and kind of feel like, oh, we were doing so well, what happened? They'll look at the Arsenal game as a turning point. Arsenal had to do the hard yards of playing a very informed team. Facts. So we do deserve credit for that. I'm not going to accept anyone kind of saying, oh, yeah, West Ham aren't that great. At the time, they absolutely were. So for me, that game was brilliant.
What would you say in terms of improvement? Because I feel when we look at December, we didn't start it well. You know, we lost points from winning positions away from home. Still a bit wary about our away form. I know Norwich and Leeds are not United and Everton historically, but we ended it a bit strong. What would you say improvements? Bless you, my guy.
Cheers, man. Well, do you know what? I just I feel like it's a team harmony thing and it's a system thing, because, and I hate to put it all on Aubameyang, but since he has been dropped, either the reaction mentally from the team has been that of finally, and they seem to be sort of more together, because hypothetically, let's say Aubameyang was taking the piss and people felt aggrieved by that. I feel like I've seen a reaction. Or
I do as well. Fact.
Or it might be that it's not that they felt like, oh, he's taking the piss, but maybe when the manager drops in, people kind of just bolted up a little bit, thought, oh crap, this guy's serious, you know.
I think
like he's not taking any nonsense. So I'm not sure which one it is, but I feel like that's a big part of it. Especially, you know, Norwich in the first half, the game got very feisty. Everyone was up for that fight. Everyone was together. I love that, exactly. And there are times when you need to be quite mature and not rile up the home crowd when you're away from home.
Arteta did that against Liverpool, did he not? And then what happened to us? Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. It wasn't the most sensible thing. But then you have to pick your moments. And maybe Liverpool away, don't do it, especially the manager, don't do it. But Norwich away, when you're already leading, then fine. You know, if you're doing it, then you're picking your moments a little bit. It's a sign of a mature team, even though I don't think we've got that maturity, because, you know, we do that thing when we shouldn't. But anyway, I feel like, yeah, it's about that. And then, so that is the mental side of things. But then the system side of things is when our team is not playing well and Lacazette comes in, I feel like we're a worse team than when we have Aubameyang, because Aubameyang's got that capability of playing quite selfishly and bailing out a team that's not playing well with the 1 or 2 chances he gets. But when your team is playing well, Lacazette, I feel like we're better with Lacazette than we are with Aubameyang, because a team that's playing well, Lacazette makes that team play even better. Whilst
like the stitching, really.
Yeah, he takes away. So that system, in that system way, with Saka, Smith Rowe, Ødegaard, Martinelli playing so well, Lacazette really amplifies that rather than Aubameyang taking away from that. So we've been slightly lucky that this Aubameyang, you know, discipline issue has come at a time when players are on good form, because it's brought the best out from Lacazette's change in system.
Have you seen? I meant to ask you. Have you seen? Because you're on to this Aubameyang. You've mentioned Aubameyang. It's only right to mention him now, just to keep the timestamps in perfect order. Literally, just before we've come online, it's come out that what we already know, Aubameyang was probably going to be allowed to go and represent Gabon earlier than usual. Now, we know he wasn't going to be part of the City squad. Where are you at with that? Because to play devil's advocate, Partey, Onene, Pepe, they're still staying at least for that. Is that almost the ending of Aubameyang? And kind of a double-edged question. I don't know if you've seen the comments around XHAKA and his athletic stuff and how he thinks about Aubameyang could force his way back in the team. What was it, you know, where are you at with obviously him being allowed to go after AFCON, and obviously XHAKA's comments in the Athletic regarding his former captain?
I think, firstly, about him going to AFCON a little bit early, I wasn't aware of that, so thanks for letting me know. I think it's a brilliant move, really good move, because, you know, you look at it, there's 2 options. He wants to go early. Either you say no, he's more annoyed in an environment where he doesn't want to be in, or you say yes, and it could actually build some bridges, and, you know,
time can be a healer sort of thing. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, he gets away from something that probably isn't very fun for him right now. And you know how, I don't know if you've ever been on any sort of tour, any like sports tour or tournament or anything like that. It's a different vibe. It's so much fun, you know, and getting away, seeing old friends. And I think it'll be good for Aubameyang, hopefully. And hopefully I wouldn't be surprised right now if he's fallen out of love with football a little bit, not really enjoying playing football.
Same.
And right when he goes to AFCON, I'm sure he will fall in love with it again and hopefully come back a bit reinvigorated. So I think it's the right move. And with XHAKA, the first thing I've got to say about this whole XHAKA thing, right now, his PR, the XHAKA propaganda that's out there is just absolutely brilliant.
It's amazing, isn't it? You have to applaud him for it, really.
Oh, so good. His PR agency, you guys are earning every penny. I want to hire you. It's just, honestly, it's so on point. It's coming across really genuine, really sincere. It's at a time when the team are doing well. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely bang on. So with that, I feel like probably best to avoid talking about Aubameyang, but if you're ever going to do it, then, now's the time. I certainly don't feel like, I guess in one sense, yeah, XHAKA's the right person because he's had that difficult spell, out of the team, and he can talk about that from experience. But I also kind of feel like if I was Granit Xhaka, I wouldn't talk about the controversial or the touchy subjects because you're never ever gonna be on rock solid ground.
You're always on knife edge, according to our results and our form. Everybody loves you now. Everybody loved you after your performance against Spurs. Nobody wanted you to play. Nobody loved you at City away. He's a bit of an enigma. He's, I'd say the people that are in the neutral ground, you don't think Xhaka's a bad player, but he's not necessarily a great one that we need in the midfield. He gets a lot of unnecessary criticism. He gets a lot of OTT praise. So it's a bit of a fugazi one, if I'm completely honest with you. Going back to like our almost little review of December, what did you make of Martin Odegaard? Because he seems, for me, he's probably the player of the month, give or take, with Smith Rowe and probably Tomiyasu. Where would you be at in terms of player of the month and Odegaard
I would give it to Odegaard. I absolutely would give player of the month to Odegaard. I think he's been absolutely brilliant. Smith Rowe obviously picks up a bit of a knock and he's been on the bench, and since he's been coming off the bench, he's done great. But it's a testament to how well Odegaard has been playing that even after doing so well coming off the bench, Odegaard maintains that starting spot, and no one, including people like me, huge ESR fans, are complaining.
We got no ammo in it. We got no ammo. We can't, we wish we could play 12 players, but we can't.
It's completely fair enough that Odegaard's playing. And the thing is, it's not that Emil Smith Rowe has been, in the minutes that Smith Rowe has, he's been so good. It's not like you can say he's been worse than Odegaard, but the fact of the matter is, Odegaard has been just as good. So why fix something that isn't broken? I'm really happy, really happy. And also Odegaard, out of all of our summer signings, probably carried the most expectation. So it was very important for me that he was able to silence any doubters that come with that level of expectation. And in December, he's done that. But this is the big one now. I've just spoken about what we've got in January. 2 games against Liverpool, City, Tottenham. And I know the 2 games against Liverpool might not be Liverpool A, but is Odegaard going to carry this form into those games? Is he going to do the business in those games?
He's every player, Everyone needs to stand up for that. I'm 100% agreed with you. You're right in that regards. And that's the thing for us. It's like, I'm not going to sit here, like you kind of said, where we do this thing, we kind of build up a team as the greatest in West Ham, and then we kind of unfairly discount the side against West Ham. Credit where due with December, but like you, I'm looking a bit nervous at January because, again, if I look at it, I don't know if you've seen Ainsley Maitland-Niles has been linked with Roma. A couple of guys are going off to AFCON. Surely a centre mid comes in. As you know, the workload, we've done very well keeping the Tomiyasus, the Ben Whites, the Gabriels fit. As you know, a couple of injuries, a couple of absences, we miss our talisman, now the way Odegaard's playing, and it's not going to stay like this forever. You've seen yourself, we've played 2 up front, 1 up front, 4-4-1, many different things. So I do feel we're bordering on, as fans, becoming a bit too complacent at the time where we probably can't afford to do that, really and truly. On that as well, what's your opinions on the Maitland-Niles to Roma stuff?
Oh, I mean, I just hate seeing Highlanders leave. So even with Willock, I was sad. I wanted him to be given more of an opportunity, and with Maitland-Niles as well. He hasn't played that many times in his proper position for Arsenal.
2 starts, I think, this year.
Yeah, but even throughout his whole career, he's filled in as a utility player very often.
He was a left back for us once upon a time.
Exactly, yeah, and he hasn't really ever been given that central midfield berth and being given a real fair crack at it. And at times, he's done really well there. So I think it's best for him, in all honesty, if he does move on, because it looks unlikely that he's going to be the man. I don't think he's relationship with Mikel Arteta is absolutely perfect. And yeah, I don't know. I just say it with sadness. I really, really wanted to see him succeed. You know, he's worth having at your club just for those moments where he takes penalties.
Yeah, literally. As a young English player as well, we could have done with him in the Euros, really. Ice cold finisher in the pens.
But yeah, look, I think it probably is best that he's going to move. I also hate the fact that he's going to go and move and be managed by flipping Jose Mourinho. I despise that guy. But yeah, like, I have to say he probably should move. There's no point in him sitting at home often or sitting on the bench getting no minutes. He's got talent, and I would love to see him go in use that talent. You know, yesterday we saw Brentford Man City, and we saw Dom Thompson, ex-Arsenal youth player, great guy, go and put in a man-of-the-match performance. And I was disappointed when he left, but hopefully he can go onwards and upwards now he's got his opportunity at Brentford. And I just wish the same for Maitland-Niles. So, yeah, a bit of reluctance on my part to kind of be like, go for it, but I think it's for the best. What about you? How do you feel about it?
I'm like you, man. I want to keep him. You know, I'm biased. The minute you play from Haylen, I've always said it on my streams. I want the impossible dream of a starting 11 / the majority of a 25-man squad that will come from Haylen. For Ainsley, I would say, you know, like you, it's got to the point where, you know, we got to be cruel to be kind. You know, go and spread your wings, go and fly, go and, you know, if you want to go to Italy, I've seen what that's done for a couple of English players. Go and do your thing. My only problem is it's another thing where it's like Arsenal. We've had 2 years to deal with this. He was decent. One summer. Wolves wanted him. There was 20 million there. Everton wanted him. We didn't do it. And the reported fees, you're seeing everything from 8 to about 12 million euros. Now, again, it's still a lot of profit because he's come from the academy and done the job. But it's almost, again, what we said on a few live streams earlier, is that it's like we have to be more self-financing and watch our pennies a bit more. And we're being almost a bit less. We're being very reactive, in my opinion. And we're not showing that sort of innovative. We're not just being innovative and whatnot in that regards. And it just feels like, I don't know about you, but does it feel like we just keep sweeping things onto the carpet and then it has to get addressed now, and you never quite really know where any players stand? Where are you at with Bukayo Saka being linked with Liverpool?
Hands off. You know, that's one where it's like, you know, I was saying the other week, he got subbed for Pepe, I think it was, against Norwich, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that, yeah.
So we saw a £72 million man coming on, but in my eyes, I'm seeing a £72 million man going off as well.
Saka, yeah. If you didn't know nothing about football, you wouldn't know who's who, 100%.
He is no less. For me, Bukayo Saka, and you know, you and I think we are very, very similar in terms of our favoritism for Hale End boys, and we make no bones about that.
You don't hide it at all. It's on my head, it's on my forehead.
Exactly that. They get treated differently as far as I'm concerned. And that goes both ways, not just positively, but if they disrespect Arsenal, if they go and leave Arsenal for an extra $5,000 a week, that sort of thing, they're also held to a higher standard in my book as well, because they are the club. They are. You got a bit more morals about you. So for me, Bukayo Saka, I really, really want to see him at Arsenal for his whole career. You know,
I was going to say for the rest of his life, man. Make him into the new Ian Wright when the time comes. I never want him to not be associated to this football club. I won't lie. Smith Rowe the same.
Yeah, man. And the thing is, you know, the only worry that I have is that the only time I would ever agree with him leaving is if we can't match his ambition.
That's where I think we're headed into. Personally,
if he gets so good and Arsenal are Kroenke led, you know, happy with 4th place, then fair enough. Go and expect him to do, yeah, go and achieve your potential. But you know, he is the future. Emile Smith Rowe, Martinelli, they are the future.
And that's it. And you throw in Odegaard, you sprinkle Tomiyasu, Gabriel's emergence, all of those sort of things, Ben White, etc. You're fully right. To go back to the Norwich game, just to hold on to that, what was your feelings on that game, how it went, and all of that sort of stuff?
Well, you know, again, I always want to be fair to Arsenal, but boy, Norwich were the worst team we've played this year. They are 100% getting relegated. I mean, they might as well move on to their 3rd manager of the season, because
literally it's done, man.
Achieved nothing. Dean Smith has gone there and done absolutely nothing. They were awful, zero belief. And then I saw that you put this on your socials as well. The chant Norwich fans were singing to Gilmore about F off back to Chelsea.
Disgusting club right now, man.
Yeah,
disgusting.
Man. As if he's the problem.
Yeah. He played with a fever. I mean, obviously he could have said I'm not good enough and whatnot to play. Dean Smith played him with a fever. He's literally risked his health for a team that, you know, he doesn't have to give a crap about because he's not going to be there. So it's quite disgraceful how they treat him. But I always say you need that as a footballer. Not that I advocate that. You know, even how Saka sadly was treated during the Euros is because it's better it happens now than you go through your career and you think people love you for anything more than just being a good footballer. It's always subjective, really, whether you're white, black, whatever. But it's crazy, man. Like, even with these Smith Rowes and Sakas, there's been times, I won't say fans have turned on them, but I remember fans were saying what's going on with Saka, what's going on with Smith Rowe. Aubameyang's form's been poor, but they've turned on Aubameyang, whether they're right or wrong. It's almost like there's no loyalty in football. You know, I always say we're loyal to the club, we're not loyal to them.
It's absolutely mad, DG, because we're talking about how much we love the Hale Enders, right? And fellow Arsenal fans, fine, you don't have to think like us. Maybe we're a bit too sort of biased to the Hale End boys. You don't have to think like us. But then the fact that I've seen people cuss Saka for a lack of end product blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. The fact that I've seen Emile Smith-Rowe, there was like a period of the season where people were talking about him and saying Emile kills flow.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, here we have a guy that is now in the Sky Sports pundits. They're like, they're talking to an audience of millions, yeah? And one of them, so very well respected, one of them is putting him as his young player of the season.
Jamie Carragher's a closet Arsenal fan. He said Ramsdale sign of the season. He needs to come clean about something, man. I know he likes us deep down.
But, you know, the point is, you have to believe what you're saying when you're in those positions because you've got such a large audience, yeah? Now, when Carragher is saying Emile Smith-Rowe is the young player of the season, how can that be true? And also Arsenal fans criticizing him be true in the same half a season. It boggles the mind. So you're 100% right. Players do need to realize that never, ever let the highs be too high. Never let the lows be too low. In a way, do you know, like one thing that I love, yeah, in Olympic sports, when the judges give their scores, what they do, they take the lowest and they take the highest and they scrap them. And then they take the average of the remainder. So if there's 5 judges and there's, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, they get rid of the 4, they get rid of the 8. Because don't listen to the extreme opinions, basically. And I love that as a mantra in life. So even with me, people have always often come up to me like, oh, Mo, I love what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, right, cool. Just, I won't let it get to my head a little bit. And players need to do that a lot. So, I feel like it's a life lesson in a way. And Billy Gilmore, I hope he's not affected by it. It's really, really out of order what happened to him at Norwich.
It's sad, man. It's sad, but you kind of echoed to flip it onto Arsenal. What you just articulated there is what I want to see from us because, you lot probably couldn't walk down the street without getting hate earlier in the season. Now, I'm pretty sure if you lot go to Tesco's or something, you're going to get an arm ache with all the autographs. Don't believe the hype. Don't act like you've achieved anything. And that's what I liked about Arteta's comments. Get well soon, Arteta. He kind of said, he gave the language like, listen, we've been doing it for a couple of games. We've achieved nothing yet. Yeah, we've earned the right. We're putting together some clean sheets and there's some building blocks, but he got a long way to go. In terms of Norwich, I feel the same way. Like, respectfully to Norwich, that was the first game I've seen us this season where I wouldn't say we was unprofessional, but I looked at us and it's like, no matter what, we're winning. Like, they knew that they're winning that game. And that's where I was saying, where you're seeing Saka trying overhead kicks, Martinelli's trying to score a goal of the season, and everyone else was doing individual stuff. It's almost like we were too confident. I did like how they tried to kick us, we'll kick back. They tried to play football, we'll play football. They tried to press, we'll press. And again, obviously, you want to see that in the better games and whatnot. It was nice to keep a clean sheet because if I scrutinize us, sometime, even the Leeds game, we should have had a clean sheet. And it was a game where, again, you have to discount because Norwich is just simply not good. But there was less of there's no highlights for Ramsdale. There's times we scored a lot of goals and there's highlights for Ramsdale. There was none such of that. So how do you feel, obviously, going into this January period? Because no matter where we shape it, we know we got the cups and whatnot. Our next 2 league games, Liverpool, Spurs. I mean, it's Spurs and City. Sorry, Liverpool's in the cup.
And Spurs,
yeah, it's long.
I mean, look, let's just get this one right out there. City coming up on incredible form, even though they just beat Brentford 1-0, not playing very well. You'd expect them to have got more. But they will be up for this game. And unfortunately, from what I've seen of Mikel Arteta in big games against better teams, he doesn't put out he doesn't put out a system, I feel, that keeps us in the game for long enough. You know,
You feel there's a lack of fight?
I don't know if it's lack of fight.
Or
I think
defeated?
that what he's doing now, I think, in my opinion, and maybe I'm wrong about this, but I think Mikel Arteta has moved on from sort of game to game trying to get results to more philosophy-led football.
I'd agree with that. 100%.
Yeah,
Definitely in December.
So what that means is that you don't say, oh, this team are good at this, so I'm going to change this, or this team are like this, so I'm going to change this. You say, no, this is my philosophy, and this is what we're going to do. And you tweak slightly, but you don't make wholesale changes. You don't make material tweaks to accommodate other strengths and weaknesses of other teams.
Facts.
So I feel like that's what he's been doing this season, and now it is starting to pay dividends. It might almost be a backward step for him to say, January the 1st, Man City, January the 6th, Liverpool, January the 16th, Tottenham, change. Because what happens to that philosophy then?
It harms us. Yeah, we die. Yeah. We kill all the good little bits of play we brought in. You're right.
So I think what complicates that a little bit now is that it's almost easier to do that when you're like 6th, 7th, 8th, because there's not that much at stake.
Yeah, you got nothing to lose. You're playing poor.
Yeah, but now you're in that Champions League spot, and all of a sudden, if you fall out of that, then people are going to say, oh, they bottled it, and you've missed out on a 50 million Champions League thing. Now there's almost more incentive to be pragmatic and to say, forget the principle, let's pick up the point. We might not win, but let's try and get
live to fight another day sort of thing.
Yeah, and also then stay in that 4th spot, because if you stick with your principles and have a bad January, the whole table can change, your stock can really
whole narrative is flipped, 100%.
Yeah, so I don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to say, look, no, I'm going to go pragmatic because what's more important right now than the principles is the points? Or is he just going to say, no, this is what we're doing, we're sticking to it, and what that'll do is that, yes, it might be difficult this season, but next season when we play City, then we'll be able to play our way and potentially get a result in the game, even though that might not be possible this time. I think we'll lose against City. I think they're brilliant, and I think it's going to be a struggle, made even harder by the fact that Arteta's got COVID, and hopefully gets better soon. Do you see any way we can get a win or maybe a draw out of the game?
Unless the football gods shine on us, then I mean, the beautiful thing about football, as you know, Mo, is that you can give a team not a snowball's chance, and football has a way of humbling everyone. I hope that. I remember there was a game, I'm sure, when Mikel was playing, we won 1-0 and he scored. So by that logic, a long-range XHAKA strike and a 1-0 Arsenal win might do it. Don't think we have a snowballs, but what I would like to see is similar to Brentford. Brentford ran them all the way. Yeah, there was times Brentford could have conceded a lot more, but they ran them all the way. I really don't like this defeative mindset where if we lose, we lose, but it's almost like in the tunnel, Arsenal fans, it looks like the players were looking for excuses. We will lose. We'll lose 1 year 5-0. We might lose 4-0 the next year, and we'll say, okay, at least we stopped one less goal. I do think there's a bit more that I want to see, especially at home. Away from home, I don't think we're good enough when we play serious teams. But at home with the 12th man, they've got to do that. Where I'm scared now is we don't play well for 90 minutes. Even if I go back to the Southampton game, we was asleep for the first 20. Yourself, you go to sleep against Manchester City in 20 minutes. That's that. Sterling gets his customary goal, etc., etc. So I wouldn't agree with what people might say in the build-up is that this is a true test of our capabilities. Of course, you get to see how good you are or aren't. But I would say it's all about, this game is just one little battle in terms of the fight. If you lose the battle, fair enough, try win the war. We are going to drop points. We've watched a whole host of people drop points this week already. We've seen it before. We've done it. It's just, I'd argue now, it's probably the time not to look at the league table. I think with January, you start to look at what your rivals are doing, but I'd say, let's not look at the table because it's going to fluctuate. And like you said, the narratives can change, especially with that. And the fact is Arsenal, we're a very volatile club in it. You're always on a knife edge. 1 minute Arteta's the guy, then he's not. You already know the same with the players. I just want us to fight. Like I've seen City work really hard against teams that don't have the quality we may or may not have to get their points. I don't want it to be wrapped up in the first half. That's what I'd say to these boys. And the key thing is momentum. Can you ride this momentum? We've got Liverpool twice. We've got Spurs. We've got difficult games. And, on paper, our squad's going to be weaker. People are going off to the AFCON. I'd expect people to be signed, but we need to deal with actual facts here. So it's going to be a big ask. And I'm not really convinced with our centre mids. I'm not. I think in the last couple of games, Partey and XHAKA have been good, but I feel our midfield is what's going to kill us this season, and I feel it was going to kill us in the summer, and I don't feel we've addressed it. I do think we'll sign someone, but I don't know. If you had to give a score prediction for City, I think it's 4-1 City. I'll take a 1-0 to City. I hope we win, of course. I'm really trying not to be defeated, but at the same time, I think just because we're doing all right, we're getting blind optimism, and fans displayed a lot of that against Liverpool when we played them at the time. This is the best time to play them, etc., etc. You know, you need to take points off these teams, but I'm shook, man.
I'd say 3-1 City. I think you just have to be quite realistic. Obviously, we hope we're wrong, but yeah, the thing is, I agree with you what you've just said about our central midfielders. They are not doing well enough for me. And you've said that they've done well in the past couple of games. I agree with you. And when we look at those past couple of games, Norwich 5-0, Sunderland 5-1, Leeds 4-1. You know, so the scorelines tell you these were all very comfortable. And there was talk of, even in victories like the West Ham game, that they're not really playing to a level where you can clearly see they're dominating, even though they've done all right. But I still feel like there's so many gears left to go. Facts. I think tomorrow on Saturday against City, we'll see just how much more we need to do in that central midfield area.
Off the ball as well. Jesus.
Yeah, I feel like everyone else in the team, all other areas, they're going fine. They're doing quite well. And the central midfielders, they're just not at the level. I think Partey has got plenty of levels to go up into. With Granit Xhaka, I feel like he's been here long enough for us to say we have seen his best and we have seen his worst. And
seen a mixed bag, yeah.
Yeah, he's obviously not operating at his worst right now, thankfully. But I don't think that his best is quite good enough for Arsenal.
Do you think that could be a problem? Because again, I don't want to get hung up on what foot someone is, but it does seem an insistence that for Mikel Arteta, not that he necessarily had it at City, he wants a sort of balance. You know, you've got a right-footed Partey, a left-footed Granit Xhaka, you've got a left-footer in Gabriel, and actually a backup left-sided centre-half, at the time in Marie. You've obviously got a right-footer. Do you feel that kind of harms us? Because on paper, I don't think that really matters. He'll sign a midfielder, but it seems like maybe that reluctance to find someone that doesn't fit that billing might affect who and who doesn't come into this club. I agree with you. Partey's got several gears to go up. XHAKA is doing well, but at the best of times, this pivot isn't really good enough. And the problem is for January now is, you know, again, you look at Chelsea. Chelsea were doing all right this season. They've hit a wobble with injuries. Their left back's out for the season. I hope that isn't the case with Arsenal. But if it is, what happens? You know, you always have to kind of judge teams at their worst. And at their worst, I don't know what Arsenal are kind of on, because I've seen us have negative form, turn it around in a game, positive form, mess about. So I'm not really sure. And for January, I really need a midfielder to come in before I have any real confidence. Even right back, you know, Ben White did very well when he came in against Norwich. But again, all it takes is an injury to Ben White, an injury to Tomiyasu, or suspension, and then we're kind of back to the mediocre players that, quite frankly, we forget play for this football club, really and truly. So again, I guess to kind of ask you, you know, what are you looking for in this January period then? In fact, sorry, Mo, to let me deal with what's up here. Would you say this is a free hit? Because this free hit stuff does my head in, man. I can't let this one go.
There is no such thing as a free hit.
Thank you.
And the fans that do this, I just kind of feel like, if you've been watching football 5 minutes, you know,
thank you.
What is the point? Like, what is the point? If it's a free hit, don't bother turning up. How can you take that mentality as a fan? It just baffles me.
In your back garden as well at the Emirates. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, we're at home as well. You know, it's like, it's baffling to me. The only time where it's a free hit it'd have to be such crazy events. It would have to be completely COVID stricken. The game still has to go ahead. Man City away from home, and it's our under-17s playing. Then, you know, a free hit is sort of like a child sports day. Oh, everyone's a winner sort of mentality. I'm sorry.
Whether you're first or eighth. Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, like, we need to stop this. I don't know whether he's kind of saying it tongue-in-cheek because it's become a bit of a silly thing now, but Brighton proved against Chelsea. Even Brentford proved against City. There's no such thing as a free hit. There's never an excuse.
Wolves against City, I know they lost, but, you know, they were done dirty by VAR. They ran it all the way. That's all I want to see. City are a great team. At the worst, let me see why these players are top class and world class. Don't switch off, play a nonchalant 5-yard pass, and whatever happens really and truly. Just be street smart. Just push them all the way. Just feed off the crowd, because we're going to need the crowd. I think the players need the crowd. And I think I just want them to all be accountable. What I have seen in this December period, to be fair, whether we've won, lost, or drawn, it doesn't look like people have just been looking at Saka and Smith Rowe to make the difference. And that was what I hated before. It's almost like, well, I'm going to pass the buck on to him. He likes to run past people. And we're looking at, rather than everybody just grab that percentage for themselves, everyone's looking at someone else to be inspired from. So I hope that stays. But again, it's easy to, as you know, like in life, it's easy to be confident when everybody loves you, when everybody's telling you you're great. When things weren't this, there was only a handful of players that stood up to be counted. So I don't know what to say about that, man. How would you rate our Champions League prospects now, though? And actually, fans are actually talking about, forget top 4, and I saw you tweet about it. Fans have been talking about 3rd, and some are even talking about 2nd now.
Yeah, you know what I find funny about all of that is that we had to endure loads of people talking about, oh, games in hand, yeah? And then we were kind of being like, oh, don't be silly, you know, points on the board mean more. And now, so people were talking about, oh, we're only 6 points behind you, but we've got 3 games in hand and all that sort of stuff. And now what we're doing is we're saying, oh, we're only 6 points behind second. We don't even have any games in hand. So
we're doing a lot, man.
Oh, how tenuous is this? That we're looking at 6 points behind second. Firstly, what is that? 6 points behind second place. So
I just think because we've seen ourselves just failing so much, we're just happy to just be shouting something, finding positives where there might not be any.
It makes more sense to me to talk about how many points you are for 4th place, because 4th place is a target of sorts, yeah? And that target is a stepping stone target. After that, all I care about is 1st. You're either a team that's trying to get into those Champions League spots, and the reason you're trying to do that is because then that gives you the financial clout to then become title challengers. I've got no interest in 3rd or 2nd or how many points we are for all of that sort of crap.
Fact.
Tell me how many points we are for 1st place. That is the target. We need to keep that in mind. There's no pride in 2nd. You know, when was the last time we finished 2nd? Who the hell cares? That's when we should have won the title, when Leicester won it, I think.
Yeah, the Leicester season, you know? Yeah. And all
Who
the narrative was around Spurs at that time.
Yeah, who cares about finishing 2nd? So I just find it a bit frustrating. And as I say, I find it funny because that's after we have been laughing at all these other fans for talking about games in hand. And yeah, I don't know, man. But look, all I'm saying is that January is going to be a difficult month for us potentially. So why are we doing this? Look at the fixture list before you tweet. 6 points off second. Let's see what it might be. You know, we've got Liverpool in Feb as well. So we'll have a potentially difficult January, and then we've got Liverpool in Feb. Could be 12 points off second. You know, the thing is as well, once the games in hand are finished, we might be 1 point off a 4th. This is it. Just relax.
This is it, man, because that's the thing for me. It's like, listen, there's no point looking at who's played what, because we've all got to play 38 games. Unless the league has changed, that's it. And again, you can't count their chickens before they hatch. I think we did that at the start when we was terrible. We're doing that now when we're a bit better. Arsenal is a mixed bag. And unpopular opinion, I think the last few seasons, apart from probably last year because we were poor, in fact, even last year, we haven't necessarily not got Europe because everybody's a mile ahead of us. And not to say people aren't better than us. We haven't showed that consistency, even back to when Emre finished a point and got champion and got to the Europa League final. So yeah, obviously to round this up, yeah, with it being January, who would you, not names, because I hate to do that, in terms of areas, what areas would you like to be addressed? And obviously, if I shout some names at you in terms of players with speculation over their futures, what are you saying for Eddie and Nketiah? What are you saying for Aubameyang? Obviously, you've got the Cedrics, the Kolasinacs. These sort of guys are still in the stock room at London Coley. So, yeah, where you at in terms of January, man?
Well, I mean, look, we spoke about central midfield. We also spoke about Maitland-Niles and the fact that our centre midfielders haven't necessarily been good enough.
Fact.
Now, if Maitland-Niles goes out to Roma and also Thomas Partey goes to AFCON, we're left with XHAKA, and Onenu will be gone as well. So XHAKA and Lokonga.
Probably Odegaard to move back in the pivot, if anything, and then you're asking a lot of Charlie Patino, which is ridiculous.
We don't want to mess with that attacking dimension of our team because it's going so well. So then potentially we do need to get a midfield reinforcement, not just for this window, but
in general moving forward. Well. Yeah, 100.
We've been linked with Bruno Guimaraes. We've also been linked with Renato Sanchez. As far as I know, they're both right footers. So what does that mean in terms of...
What does that tell us? Yeah, for Granit Xhaka, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't tell me it's a replacement for Granit Xhaka. So I'm not 100% sure about that. But also, So that's one thing. I feel like we have seen the rumours, and I would welcome a new signing there. When it comes to the striker, that's really, really difficult.
So happy you mentioned this.
The striker thing.
Yeah, because again, I've had enough of talking about it, and it's interesting to hear other people's thinking in relation to doing it in Jan.
Another angle on this is that when you look at some of the strikers that we might be linked with, Vlahovic with Fiorentina. Now, from what I understand, his contract is not out this summer, but it's next summer.
Yeah,
that's what I've heard. But the point is, Fiorentina are in the mix for Champions League qualification. They're a little bit off it right now, but there's so much of the season left that there's plenty of points to play for. They'll certainly be looking to do what they can to qualify for Champions League, which will give them, let's say, an increment of 40 million or something compared to Europa League. If they sell Vlahovic in January, they might as well just say, yeah, we're not interested. We're not interested in trying to qualify for the Champions League. Their best case scenario, if he's going to go, you qualify and then you sell him. So you get the 50 million increment and then the 70 million transfer fee. If they sell him in January and get 70 million, they're basically saying, we're not even interested in that 50 million.
We've given up half our season,
Yeah, so in effect, instead of potentially getting 120 million, they're just accepting 70. Doesn't make any sense. They will get the money even in the summer transfer window. And here's why. We know Man City were in for Kane. So they'll also be in for a striker. Barcelona have just signed Ferran Torres.
Spurs want Vlahovic as well. Allegedly.
Yeah,
I think they got
true. So even if Kane does go, then Tottenham will have money to spend and they'll be looking. You also look at Newcastle, for example.
Crazy, assuming they stay in the league,
everywhere. Arsenal, we've got a striker situation that we need. United, if they don't qualify for Champions League, is Ronaldo going to stick around? Can they rely on Cavani? Are they going to give Greenwood that responsibility? They might be looking. They'll have money. So when it comes to strikers, there's always demand, and Fiorentina will be fine. If they don't get 70 million, they'll get 60 million. But it will still be worth their while trying to get that Champions League spot. And then you look at, even, for example, another guy who's having a storming season, Patrick Schick at Bayer Leverkusen, even they are in that Champions League sort of fight. It's very, very difficult for a team to sell their star man, their goal getter, when they're looking to fight for that Champions League spot.
And you have to overpay,
Yeah. So I think it's going to be very difficult personally. And then that makes you think, well, if it's going to be difficult, what the hell do we do about Nketiah? Can we?
You took it away, man. Let me not cut you. Ain't Mr. Nketiah, the man, the myth, Mr. Eddie, hat-trick hero this month.
Yeah, what do we do? Do we say, all right, let's just cut our losses, let's sell him and take the money?
I do.
Because what's going on with Aubameyang? In a way, it's so important. Aubameyang, where is he mentally? Are you going to come and do a job for this team? Can we rely on you at all or not? If we can, maybe Nketiah can go. We can go and get some value for him and then try and use that to get someone in summer.
Facts.
But if Aubameyang's just saying, no, I'm not interested, then we need him. In which case, he'll go on a free. I don't know. It's tough.
This is where this is where we're at for me, because you kind of kill Balogun's development, because you would imagine spots could open up for Balogun, how much game time he's going to get. I mean, even if Aubameyang and Arteta, find a resolution to their conflict, that just pushes Balogun out. So at best, you'll be playing for a couple of weeks. You mentioned Eddie Nketiah. Personally, I understand keeping him for depth. It's the same premise of probably keeping Lacazette and El Nene. Me personally, I would sell Nketiah if an offer presents itself, purely because something is better than nothing. I feel with Martinelli there, that would be my next go-to. Obviously, we've seen Smith Rowe play as a false nine. I'm not for it. There'll be an argument for Pepe. I would love our scouts to do the job. Like, can you unearth a striker? Because I feel you need to replace Lacazette and obviously Aubameyang. Like, if you could find a goal scorer with hold-up play, that'd be good. But I think you need someone in the squad. And how often do you think it's harder when on the best of days everybody knows who everyone needs to buy, but everyone knows we lack goals in terms of our strikers? Lacazette's only got 3 goals. Do you think it's even harder because everybody knows what you want in business? That's very dangerous, really and truly, and it makes it a lot worse for us, really.
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously it's difficult, and this public thing with Aubameyang hasn't really helped because, as you say, clearly now people know that we need someone. I don't know whether we can unearth someone. I think that something that could be interesting is a loan move. And when I look at someone like Luka Jovic at Real Madrid,
that could be something if they want to let him have us, let him come to us. I'll be for that.
Well, I feel like, Arsenal are still like a very well-regarded, world-renowned club. So someone like Luka Jovic, whose stock has fallen at Real Madrid, look, this season he's played 13 appearances, 1 goal for Luka
Same
Jovic.
logic that saw us by Odegaard could help us again.
Yeah, true. I feel like if you come into Arsenal, it's an opportunity to reassert yourself, as a proper talent. And we all know Mbappe's contract is coming up. Real Madrid, there's been a lot of talk about him to Real Madrid, and it seems like it could happen. There's been a lot of talk about Haaland as well. And if Real Madrid can go and pull off a Haaland, Vinicius, Mbappe starting attack, that is the sort of thing that will give them almost like you could say a decade of dominance in La Liga after Messi's dominant era.
To go with every other position they've got as well. Got some talent.
Yeah, and for that to free up the wage bill and stuff, they will need to get rid of a Luka Jovic. So perhaps
Hazard, Bale, these sort of guys.
Yeah, perhaps we can try and look at something like that. I don't think we can go out and buy him, because we need to make sure that we're getting a guy that's going to actually start playing well for us.
Business, yeah.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say there is that there are opportunities out there. I do feel like there are opportunities out there for us to take a look at on a loan basis at least.
Who would you rather? All right, you can only have one centre mid or one striker, 20 league goal man, or a centre mid that's going to really, the centre mid we'd really want that's going to transform it. You can only have one in Jan. Who'd you go for? What makes us stronger to get top 4 for you? Or gives you more confidence, better yet?
Man, so you're asking me for like the striker that I really want.
This is a crazy world. You get that striker that gets 20 league goals, or you've got that midfielder where it could be a Patrick Vieira type, it could be a Prime Santi. He transforms the middle of that park. You can only have one. We know we need both. Which one you going with?
It's got to be the striker. It's got to.
You reckon? See, I'm different. For me, I know goals win games, but it's got to get up the pitch. I just think if I was Arteta, I'd be more happy to work with our quote-unquote forward options, strike options, than I would with our midfield. Now, he loves XHAKA. He just bought Partey, so I guess my thinking is not really aligned with Arteta's, but I just feel, at least if it was going to happen in January, I'm really scared about our midfield. Like, we're spreading the goals out a bit, but I just don't see it in the middle of the park, bro.
I hear that, but the point, the way I see it is that, like, when you think of all the other positions, I find it less surprising when you unearth a gem. So like a Lokonga, I hadn't heard of him. And he's coming and you think, yeah, I can see a lot of talent there. But it's very rare that you get that with strikers, where an unearthed gem comes in and starts banging in the goals. So I feel like the strikers are more tried and tested. They're harder to get, and that's why I'd say striker. And then I would trust that Arsenal will go and find that midfielder that we need. And, I feel like there are midfield options. So like, spoken about Sanchez, Guimaraes. There's who's the guy that's killing it for? Is it Benfica? Is it Pedro Goncalves?
Gonalves or whatever his name. He's a baller. Still, he's a baller. He's a baller.
Brilliant player. Slightly more attacking though.
He's a wavy one.
But my point is, there's still people out there that are at clubs that I feel like, yeah, we can come and get you. But at strikers, that's very difficult.
You're right, man. Last question, man. I know you're aware of time. I wanted to ask it to you, and somebody said it. Where is it? Oh, yeah. Obviously, because Arteta's got COVID, he's not going to be in the dugout. Now, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. Do you think that makes a difference? Because one thing I'll give Arteta, I don't really like how people make a meal of it in modern football, but you can see him rallying up the troops. You can see him, quite frankly, giving a lot of people shit when they deserve it and praising them. Like you see the Martinelli moment, he's nursing a leg injury, saying, "Get up, big man. This is the reality of it." Do you think that's a big L? And we've got the AirPod Albert, as they call, on the sidelines, assuming on Saturday. Is that a big knock to our confidence?
Well, unfortunately, I would actually say it is going to be detrimental to us, because Arteta is very, very involved. You know that slogan in football that, he kicks every ball?
Yeah, he definitely does.
Yeah, he's literally like that. There was the Martinelli goal. I can't even remember.
Oh, when he's kicking his foot as it's happening. Yeah, I know you're talking about. I know you're talking about. I can't remember where it happened, though.
So he's literally exactly at the moment where Martinelli was about to strike the ball, just very subtle. It was just like he just, instead of walking with his feet facing like this, he just put his foot like that and pushed it as if
he lives it.
Involved. And he's always on the touchline. I think sometimes too much, ordering players to do certain things, pushing them up, do this, do that, come short, blah, blah, all of that. And if you ever needed that level of micromanagement, it's against Man City, where you cannot switch off for even a second. You just cannot switch off for even 1 second. So you constantly need those eyes. Like look over your shoulder, what are you doing? Get in, up, in line, all
Sure.
this sort of stuff. It's a mile a minute with
Even
Man
if they
City.
concede that first goal, because I'm looking at it, you have to assume you're going to concede against City. Where are you at mentally? Because you actually haven't gone behind too many times in recent games. Everything's been amazing. How are you responding to that with your fans?
Really good
Same
point.
way fans will give them, fans of the 12th man, they'll make bare noise. They'll be confident. If you give fans reason to be nervous and you're at the Emirates week in, week out, they're going to respect that. Fans will always make noise. But if you look nervous, the fans are going to be quiet. City are going to recognize that and it's done.
Yeah, listen, that's such a good point, But we'll see. How do we react to going a goal behind? But hopefully we won't see. But it's likely that we will see that. And again, I think we're all realistic. It's going to be very hard to beat City, even get a draw. We want to see fight. There's no point fighting against Norwich when it's easy. When you can back it up with the goals and the victory, and then shrink against City. I want to see us fight, and the crowd need to get behind.
It's like fighting people that it's like someone's tried to start a problem with you and you know you can beat up Norwich, so there's a lot of different energy, and then someone that's it's like a school bully, someone that's the same size as you, you're being selective with it. One thing I have liked is that we've won the games we're quote unquote supposed to win, but I'm yet to see us that real big test. Now I'm not gonna lie, if we were to beat City, the next thing I would say, can you do it away from home? And it's not that I wouldn't praise you for it, but that's the difference between literally top four and not. And you probably get it, when you're going against the grain or comment on different things, fans sit there and say, oh, you're negative, you're moaning. No, this league is nitpicking. Pep Guardiola has showed you lot fine margins makes everything. Last question, Mo, score predictions to go over it again, because I've had time to think about it. Still gonna go with 4-1 Man City. My heart says 1-0 Arsenal. XHAKA screamer. Where are you at with it?
Yeah, I still think 3-1. I think 3-1 City. Unfortunately, I just can't see how we go and beat them. Maybe the only benefit is that we've had a lot longer to prepare and to rest for the game. City, I love the fact that against Brentford, that was a really, really tough game. It wasn't them coasting in full flow, playing lovely football.
Million goals and that, yeah.
But then let's also bear in mind, they had Mahrez and Sterling chilling on the bench. So these
know what time it is on Saturday.
Yeah, they're going to come back fresh and ready and raring to go. Sterling always scores a tap in against us.
Sometimes headers. I mean, if Holding has to do a job, Holding, make sure you don't let people half your size score a header against you.
Yeah, exactly. So, on one hand, yes, we have had plenty of time to rest, but they have also, got some players that are going to be fresh. But on the other hand, they had to work. They did have to work. They had to really put in a shift, and hopefully that'll help us in some way. But look, City, obviously favourites. Fingers crossed we're wrong. And if we are, and if we get something out of the game, big old AirPods Albert is going to be flavour of the month.
The AirPod sales are going to go through the roof. Apple ain't going to know what hit them, man.
Exactly that. He's gonna be the poster boy. So hopefully for him, he gets his moment in the sun.
Oh man, you're right. I know I'm going to be doing my review on your channel come Saturday. Make sure you subscribe to Mo Hader if you haven't already. When this is on YouTube, he'll be added in the technically the video description or the title. What you got to come this week, today, whenever? What else you got to come in terms of content, broski?
Yeah, so for me, it will be my match reaction on Saturday from the stadium, hopefully after a good result. And then the next day is the 5 at 5, and get involved with the 5 at 5. It's a good bit of content where you talk about 5 things that have come out of the game. Some of them might not be blindingly obvious, there'll be little things I might have noticed. Or, for example, last time it was about XHAKA's brilliant gesture to the fan who's going to be his special guest at the Man City game. So, check that out. And I always appreciate when people get in touch and say, how about this for your 5 at 5? Because I love to see what other people pick up on that I necessarily didn't pick up on.
So people, again, keep that in mind for the City game. Don't try and force it, but if you see something, just throw it to Mo. You never know. He might have seen it, he might not. And you ultimately make the content richer, man. I'm appreciative of all the support. Me and Mo appreciate everyone. Mo, again, I love every time you're here. I respect you for doing that because you give up your time. You're giving up your time mid-afternoon. Appreciative of that. I'm aware of time because I think, last time I cut you off and you kind of affected, your prayer time. So I don't really want to do that again.
I prayed before, bro.
Swear. All right. Hey, look at that, man. If only we had a midfielder with that sort of anticipation skills, broski. But on that note, man, I'm going to let you get out of it. It's been a pleasure, man. And hopefully the next time you're here, it's an Arsenal City win or it's something a bit more positive. Maybe we've signed a midfielder. I don't know, bro, man. But hopefully it's something positive, man. Like
Fingers
it already
crossed,
is.
Man. Fingers crossed. And enjoy AFCON as well. Big up Ian Wright for his comments on AFCON and giving the tournament more respect There's one thing I want to end on.
How do you feel about that as well, to end on it? How do you feel about that?
Well, the only difference is I think that when you hear about people talking about AFCON versus the Euros or any other international tournament, the only difference is this is played during the calendar, and that means that there's players leaving their clubs, which obviously you don't have with the Euros. That is the only difference. So when you're hearing people talk about AFCON versus Euros, if that one difference justifies the way they're talking about it, fine. But too often, I feel like, no, it goes beyond that. And it's almost like this one doesn't matter as much, you know? And even with Copa America, I don't get these disrespectful vibes that I do. But then it's a shame. Also, I feel like there's other things that I think with the AFCON tournament, sometimes even from within, they need to talk about it with more respect. I saw one country's federation president saying that either win it or give us the money back or something like that. And I think to myself, you know, and this is talking to the players, and I'm like, don't say things like that, man. Come on, give these players and give this tournament the respect it deserves instead of it being about money. No one talks about it when it comes to the Euros. So why are you talking about it, about the money when it comes to the AFCON? It's a continent, a whole continent's international tournament.
It's an international tournament, it's celebrating diversity and all of those sort of things there. And fundamentally football, like, it's crazy.
It's a celebration of African football. Give it the respect that it deserves, whether you're internal or external. And I'm glad Ian Wright spoke about that. And I'm glad that that's on the BBC homepage. It deserves to be heard. And on that, I'll just leave on this. Ian Wright, you know, it really struck me today when I see him make a comment like that not enough people have made previously. It opened up a blind spot. I thought to myself, why have I never spoken up about that? I've seen the disrespect that AFCON has received. Why have I never gone and said anything about that? I feel like I almost feel bad that I'm sure if that was like a Asian tournament, then I would have. But because we don't have that many Asian ballers in the Premier League, it doesn't come up.
Soon to not be the case, man. Keep the faith, man.
Inshallah. But the thing is, I should have said something. I've seen that disrespect, and we all should say something. But I love Ian Wright. When you look at his growth, his maturation,
the way he uses his platform just to speak about ish.
And when he speaks, that becomes a headline on the BBC website.
Because of who he is, 100.
That is his power now. That is his influence. That's how much respect that he has garnered. And you know, there's a time where you couldn't really see Ian Wright having that sort of level of respect in what he says. And now look at him, man. He's got so much influence. He's such a good role model for the youngsters. He gives so much love to young footballers of any race, of any team. I've got a lot of respect for him in the way he's kind of used his platform so brilliantly. So big up Ian Wright always.
I wanted to ask you something as well, just on the topic as well. Like, I've seen Mo Salah get a lot of heat for it, but I've noticed, obviously, I actually saw a tweet from you. Obviously, yeah, you got the Christmas tree, shock, Christmas tree, Muslim guy. Yeah, man, it's a bit of a madness. Like, people even on Twitter, again, social media is not the real life, but Salah missed the penalty because he celebrated Christmas. Like, I mean, it's laughable. It's crazy, really and truly, what people go to, man. It's mad.
I do find that funny. That was like, when I saw it, I just, I'm sure the people that have done that are joking. It is jokes. Literally. And listen, man, some people think that this Christmas tree, there we go, this Christmas tree is representative of my very deep held beliefs, sacred beliefs. It's not that deep, okay? It's just not that deep. For some people, it is fine. That's you. This is me. My religion and my faith is very, very firm-footed. A tree can't change that. That's all I'm saying.
I think it's very crazy as well. Like, for you, like, to see you on, I know, listen, people are weird, but obviously you're a devout Muslim, you practice, your faith, you treat people regardless of race, religion, background fairly, you use your platform and just as a person anyways, but because of you've got a platform, I see you using it to, not just, Muslim people who are, being disadvantaged all over the world, you shine light on things. But, and I just feel, I just looked at it and I felt, this is what you're going to kill a man for. Like, you're not going to talk about none of that, but he's got a Christmas tree. So all of it's out the window. And I just feel within England, it doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Christian or whatever. Listen, if anyone does Christmas for religious reasons, it is what it is. But it's become more of a societal thing. It's about more chilling with family, kids opening presents. It's not really the Christmas art is that not exactly religious, and it you know, I just don't get it, bro. I just don't get it.
Man.
People are weird, man.
Who knows? Like, all I'd say is that, you know, there have been times as a football fan where, you know, there have been times where I've actually prayed on the terraces away from home, because when I leave home, it's not early enough to pray, and by the time the game's finished, it's too late to pray. So I think it was so
Made it happen.
And you know what football crowds are like? Yeah, there's a lot of that right-wing sentiment very often. And
let's call it ignorance that can only be shown in football or pub culture and all of that stuff.
Exactly,
Just downright racist, ignorant twats.
Yes. And there have been times, to stay true to my faith, I've had to say to a steward, look, I'm just going to pray here, literally amongst the seats. I'm just going to pray here. Can you just keep an eye out for me?
Make sure there's eyes in the back of my head, sort of thing.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bottle or a penny or some abuse or something. And when I'm willing to do that, when I'm literally willing to pray my prayers on the terraces, yeah, then come on, man. That, I think, is more important than
Can't kill a man on a Christmas tree. That's going to go down in a couple of weeks as well.
Exactly, man. It's just, one thing is not deep. That's not deep. But when I'm back in Palestine publicly, limiting my opportunities, when I'm praying on the terraces, in spite of thinking, yeah, I could get some serious stick here, that is that deep. So pay attention to the deep stuff and relax with the nonsense.
And I mean, for me, that's why you need a thick skin, because nobody know the people online that know nothing about you, haven't spent a day with you, feel so comfortable to just sit here and tell you about who you are in your life. And if you're not thick-skinned, you know, it will ruin your day, as I'm sure with all us content creators. At a point, you did kind of take these comments to heart, but then it's just like you said earlier, whether it's positive or negative, it's you know, it's just water for ducks back. We keep living, we keep maintaining, man. Lovely way to end that, Mo, man. Really thought-provoking. And this is why I like having you. I think we bounce off each other well. We speak about Arsenal, and yeah, who would have known we'd be speaking about, you know, your faith and everything else. I love I wouldn't call it random, but I love it, man.
Likewise, man. Refreshing to talk about not just football, but, you know, other things that come out of the world of football and social media, football, fandom and everything like that. So it's nice.
Exactly. And as I always say, football mirrors society, society mirrors football, and it's as simple as that, man. On that, though, people, we're out of here, man. You know, make sure you're following Mo. This is going to be put onto YouTube. So by the time it's there, you just got to click on his name in the app. Make sure you're subscribing. He's at 30K. Let's get him up to even more. You lot stay safe, stay in good health, and we'll be back again soon. I'm going to be on Mo's channel after the Arsenal Man City game, and he's got a bag of like reviews and stuff with other people. You know, like he's got She Knows Arsenal, who's quite good, and there's others. So make sure you're giving it a follow, you know, and all of those things. But we're out, people.
So there's always just that active red flag, defending.
I think it's like